Welcome everyone to the Suprema Connect customer success story, the first of the year, and I'm delighted to invite and have with us the guys from Timeware. So, Managing Director and the founder of the business, Simon Birchall.
Yes.
We'll dive into things in a bit more detail about yourself and the business as we move forward, Simon. So, look forward to hearing a bit more about the business and our partnership and things. We've also got Mike Coope, who's part of the projects team, has a lot of experience with Suprema over the last 3 years and has attended some of the SGPP events, which has been good fun and educational a little bit, I think, for him, certainly. And then we've got a number of guys from our side of the business as well. So from Suprema, we have SY, from our Middle East team, Mohammed, who is the director of business in the Middle East, Stephen Sardi, our workforce management VP from the US, and we've also got Eugene Kim, who's relatively new to the business but is responsible for a large part of our global sales initiatives, and particularly the US market. So I think there's a lot of interest in the Timeware relationship that we've got. So hopefully over the course of the next half an hour or so, we can sort of dive into where we're at and how we've got to where we are, really, Simon. And a few questions from me, particularly about why we've ended up in this situation with you guys, some of your thoughts around the market and things like that. So really, I'll kick off with a welcome to the Connect. Obviously, we've got all of the attendees. Connect is a new thing for us, obviously, in light of everything that's gone on in the last 12 months. This is a real opportunity for us to keep in contact, share success stories, share information about our business, our products, and most importantly, our customers, because our global partner program is really core to what we do as a business and what we value as a success and part of our value proposition as a company. Our partners globally, UK, Europe, Middle East, US, wherever it may be, they really are the reason that we are the global presence that we are. And so the Connect is an opportunity while we can't have partner conferences to share those sorts of stories. So personally, from a UK standpoint, to get you guys in front of the rest of our global partners is a fantastic opportunity, and one I'm delighted about. What I'd like to do is talk about Timeware and the Suprema partnership, have a bit of a review of the business and where we're at, but most importantly, Simon and Mike, is to find out what your thoughts are about not just the Suprema relationship, but also the workforce management, time and attendance market from a UK standpoint, but also from a Timeware point of view, and what your sort of goals are for the future as a business and within the market as it changes over the next sort of 4 or 5 years. So, we sort of spoke about the Connect. Obviously, we can't get 110, 120 people in a room anymore. So this is the next best thing for us, and an opportunity to sort of share our success story with Timeware. So I'm absolutely delighted to do that and really appreciate your time, guys, as well. So
thank you. Thanks for inviting.
No worries. So yeah, absolutely delighted to invite Simon and Mike. We started talking back in 2017, but if I can, Simon, just hand over to you to give us really an overview of what you've done with Timeware, where it started, the experience you've gone through. And I'm interested to know really your earliest adoption of biometrics and what your experience is over the last 5-10 years or so in terms of using biometrics, and then moving on to what your sort of relationship with us is.
Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Our first involvement with biometrics, our very first involvement with biometrics, was back in 1999 with a Sony device, and it was extremely expensive and extremely unreliable, and it was something that seemed like something out of out of the future. It was very rarely that we sold it. It was in the days where proximity was seen as the way forward. But on the biometric side, our previous involvement, I mean, do you want me to explain about about us developing our own equipment and moving across to you guys? Because that was
yeah, I guess so. Because from my point of view and all of my dealings with you guys is that you were very early adopters of biometrics in a UK market, which, to be quite honest with you, up until 4 or 5 years ago was not really, it didn't have an appetite for it. So what made you step into the forefront of it, really? Because at the time it was a tough sell, right?
Yeah, I mean, going back, we've always manufactured our own hardware since I set the business up in sort of '89. We've always developed our own range of hardware, and it was initially Magstripe, then Proximity. The Sony device was something that we bought in, and we made it work with our software. But then we worked with another company, and we integrated their readers into our equipment. And I mean, we sold thousands of them, and they were just not reliable. They weren't reliable. There was a big demand for fingerprint, for biometrics, but we had so many sensitivity issues and having to go through re-enrolling procedures, and just the equipment just not doing what it said it was going to do. And we almost dealt with you guys, dealt with Suprema, I think maybe 5 or 6 years before, and I wish we pushed a bit harder. Back, I think it was it in the maybe the late noughties, and we didn't push hard enough, and we reached a point where we just couldn't. We thought to ourselves, no matter what we do, we're not going to get this equipment to be to be the level we want it to be. This development, we just haven't got the manpower, we haven't got the resources, and so we did an experiment. We had a look at some of the Suprema equipment. And it was a massive decision. It was one of the biggest business decisions I've ever had to make. If you can imagine, I built a business up from nothing to this sort of, I class it as a UK market leading product that had hardware and software. And we prided ourselves on the fact that we designed the software and the hardware. It was a complete package. And I had to say, right, we're not good enough for the hardware anymore. We had to find something else. And we did some research, and the Suprema equipment was very, very attractive. And what I liked about it, what I like about it is that it's not cheap. I love that. The fact that it's priced at the right point. It's not that if you think of it in terms of a car, it's a Mercedes S-Class. We're not looking for a Ford Focus. We want something that's perceived to be better, and it is. And it's. I like the pricing of it. The design of it was good. The reliability, obviously, that's over time with the reliability has proved itself to be virtually 100%. It was fantastic. And so that decision to move away from our own hardware towards Suprema hardware was, as I said, the toughest decision I probably had to make in the last 20 years, but it was the right one.
Yeah. So I just on that, because moving on to some of the the business decisions that you've had to make in the summary of the last 3 years, I think certainly for me, from the day that we started this relationship, I very much witnessed almost a shift in your business model where you were a hardware and software manufacturer, and without apology, you've been very clear that you want to be a software provider. And coming from a security background, for me, entering the time and attendance workforce management market, it was, it's quite educational for me to look at, there's lots of cheap hardware out there in the T&A market or the workforce management market. But from your point of view, you very much look at it almost the opposite way around. And so the hardware is almost, you know, secondary to what you're selling to your customer, right? So
yes,
and that this is where, for me, that you've got a hardware decision to make, and then you guys you sell your product, hardware, software, as a partner approach rather than, you know, you make no bones about it. What you sell is a service rather than, you know, product.
It's the hardware. If we break it down to at a demonstration level, we would talk about the hardware, but it's great now that we have Suprema. It's great because it's a good brand to have. It's fantastic. But if you go back a step before that, when it was our equipment, you don't really take the hardware out of the bag. You're talking about the software, you're talking about the features, the service, the backup, the way it integrates with other systems. That's key for time and attendance. But the big difference that I think between Access and TNA is this, and we've seen this a lot over the years with access control. If the reader finds the wrong person, so for example, you put your finger on the reader and it identifies you as the wrong person, but that person is allowed to go through that door, nobody knows about that. In time and attendance, if you put your finger on the reader and it chooses the wrong person, it's chaos, because all of a sudden somebody who shouldn't be working on a certain shift is shown as being working on that shift. So with access control, in my experience, and I'm not in the access control industry, but just very scratch the surface, people come through doors, and nobody really checks the flow of traffic until there's been a problem. Completely different with TNA. With TNA, one mistake is highlighted. So you have 1,000 people in a company clocking 8 times a day. One clocking, one missed booking, one false acceptance, and the whole thing comes to a stop. And you are then questioned about why. Why is this happening? The equipment's not reliable. And what we've done with the Suprema equipment is we've cranked this up to the top setting. Is that right, Mike?
It's on the highest enrollment setting.
Highest enrollment setting, and it works 100%. And we never experienced that.
Yeah, and just on that, because this is another thing that I've really sort of noticed with your business, is that you put and a lot of your customers, you know, the partners that resell your product struggle to adopt this process, but you actually put a value and a line item in a quote and a proposal to a customer for the enrollment process, right? So Absolutely. You put such a premium on it that you actually you employ someone to do that, right? So can you just explain a bit about that for me?
Yeah, we did. A couple of years ago, we realised there was a benefit, a benefit to us, and a perceived benefit to the customer. See, a lot of the time you go and visit a customer, and there's a mistrust of the biometrics, and so what we used to do in the old days, we'd put a system in, people would enrol their own staff, the employer would enrol their own staff. Something wouldn't work, they'd complain to us, there'd be issues with payments and just business issues. So what I decided quite a few years ago now was to include the enrolment, and it's not optional. It's absolutely not. There's a charge for it, and it's a premium charge. It's a very high charge. And what we do, we enroll every single person in the company. If it's a multi-shift system and they're working at the weekends, so be it. We're there. We have a rota system for our guys. We enroll people, and then not only do we enroll them, we then do a second pass, because we've got the fingerprints in the system. Now what we want to prove is that one-to-many comparison works 100%. So we get everybody back in. And Mike, how long did how long has the longest process taken at the food plant?
Probably 3 weeks. 3 weeks based off the rotations.
Shift system. Sorry, Mike, I talked over you.
Yeah, so about 3 weeks when we're working on like the food manufacturers, obviously they've got rotational shifts. So we have to, for example, do a 12 till 12 shift, and then they have different colour shifts on different times.
If you can imagine, we go in and we would spend a number of weeks collecting the fingerprints, and then we're back in again, and we're calling people back in just to prove to that person and and their manager and the directors that this technology has worked correctly, and then we know when we leave site that that's perfect. So if anybody's arguing about anything, it can't be the enrollment side of things. That's perfect, and that method has worked brilliantly, and it's been a big revenue. It's been a really good revenue stream.
And it's such a different model to the rest, or to a good proportion of the market that are operating at the opposite end, I guess. And it's largely based on cost. So I know that Nathan's not on the call, but from my point of view, a quick shout out to Nathan, who's your technical director, who
absolutely,
in terms of the partnership and the integration, is absolutely critical to every piece of hardware that we release around every SDK.
You're right there. Nathan's been with the company since 1994. Started off as a trainee, and he's now owns half the company with me. And he's a fantastic asset, and is a great lead for all the product development that we do. But yeah, you're right. What he likes about Suprema is the fact that you guys are super approachable, so we can actually talk if we need to, and it isn't that often, but if we need to talk to the developers, we can do, and that's essential. We're not having to talk through a series of sales guys to get to get an answer. We're actually getting straight through to technical people who come back with good answers.
So on that, I guess, and I don't know whether Mike may be able to answer this or yourself, but in terms of the way that you guys integrate our product, because it is a bit of a leap to stop your own development of manufacturing hardware and pick somebody's product. But what is it about apart from the approachability of the team and the development guys, what Nathan seems to be able to do is turn integration work around very quickly. So is that because you guys are using simple
I think it's
methods? No, it's because we're very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously,
it's because there's a good team. No, I mean, I'm saying it flippantly. It's the way you design the product and the way we designed our products behind the scenes is very similar. So it was low-code, good design, but we were able to twist what we've done to fit in with what you've done very easily. Of course,
there's very little customization that you guys request or request. In fact, in nearly 4 years, I don't think we've done any, have we?
No.
So we use the Web SDK. That's the reason. The Barstar Web SDK.
Yeah. Okay.
Jamie, could I ask a question of Simon?
Yeah,
of course.
Hey, Simon, I think that your approach, as you've described it, is a very enlightened approach. I wish partners understood fully the implications of what you're saying. Your approach to saying that, for example, that you are a software company, but that you want to have a high quality product that's hanging on the wall that, in a sense, really represents your solution, right? Because your software in the background is doing an important function, is collecting all this data. Yeah. But a lot of times partners tend to ignore what the effect would be of a device hanging on a wall that is unreliable, as you pointed out. If you're gonna caution somebody as to the realities of a high quality backend, but a poor quality user interface, what do you think your comments would be regarding what would you warn somebody about in a sense of their choice of a device?
Choice of device, cheap is not good. So simple as that. If you're going to go for the pricing is important. The quality, the look and feel of the equipment is very important. If you're providing a really good service to the customers, if the customer has a problem, you have to solve a problem. It doesn't matter what the cause is, whether they've caused it or whether you've caused it. It has to be solved, because it's all about building long-term relationships with businesses. And so having a piece of kit on the wall that works, that's very reliable, is essential. In my mind, I wouldn't want to put anything of lower quality on the wall. It's usually on a wall, isn't it? But I wouldn't want to put anything of lower quality that could easily be vandalized. It's got to be simple. It's got to be neat. It looks right. It's robust. you know, I don't know whether there's probably 1,000 sayings for this, but I like it because it's quality, it's solid, and it's in our experience, it's not failed. I mean, we've had you know, when there is a failure, it's vandalism. You know, that's the problem we have in this country. But you should never go cheap on the front end. You can't do that because it's getting abused by people. People are coming into work and they're hitting it, they're thumping it, they're pressing it hard, they're doing as much as they can to try and break it. In this country, it might be different in Korea or America, but certainly in the UK, there will be very little, in certain circumstances, very little respect for that piece of equipment, and it is so reliable, and that's what we like about it.
Well, your software is a reflection on us, and our device is a reflection on you. So how well we perform together is what matters to our customer, right? To your customer.
So it's a fine system, you know. It's
exactly.
And you sold it. You sold it like that, right, Simon? So you know, you use the Suprema branding, and
we do. It's timeware. It's timeware workforce management incorporating Suprema biometrics. That's one of the strap lines I use a lot. Every single time I put an advert, probably you might have seen them on LinkedIn. I try and do something every day. It's always timeware and Suprema. Even when the job we've done might not be Suprema yet, right? But it will be soon, because eventually we've got to convert everybody across. So I want all of my customers to perceive us as being this software company that is selected to work with a world-class hardware device manufacturer, which obviously Suprema is.
Brilliant. Is that okay, Stephen? Yeah.
Yes, it's a very good. I mean, from a perspective of the exposure that Suprema has of our devices hanging on the wall, of course, the end user doesn't want to see the functionality of our device. They expect us to be transparent, so that the functionality of the software really shines through. So it sounds like you're handling that not only from a perspective of supporting your customer, but also enabling them to have a successful transition and startup right away. I think it's an excellent approach, Simon. Credit to you and your team.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks.
So Simon, I'm going to move. I'm going to move on to a topic that you and I have mentioned and discussed on a couple of occasions, and maybe joked about a little bit. I know it's not a laughing matter, but it's been an interesting 12 months, let's say that, and the UK, certainly from our Suprema's point of view, has, albeit day-to-day life has changed, the marketplace and the business world, certainly from a security and a manufacturing point of view, really has carried on in earnest. And you know, without having to go into too much detail, let's not dwell on it too much, but I'm just interested to know, you know, as simply as possible, how you guys have sort of weathered the last 12 months.
Okay, we've I was going to say we've been lucky, but we're not. It's careful planning that has led us to the point we were at. Yeah, and it's all to do with, as I said earlier, building long-term relationships and making sure that that customers stick with you through thick and thin. Yeah, and so when the government declared, or whatever rules the government lay down, yeah, as a business, I'm going to keep making money. I've got people to pay, and the customers that we've got have continued working through the lockdown. The majority of them, and some have obviously had to close temporarily. But you know, you go to the Tesco's, you go shopping at the weekend, you pick your food up. That piece of food that you've got in your hand has gone through about 8 or 9 companies from manufacturer, or from the beef to the package that you've got in your hand. All those people and all those companies employ people, and we have got a heavy manufacturing base. A lot of our customers are manufacturing, so food, you know, people still eat when they're locked down, so that was good. We don't supply many, let's say, schools, or we don't supply many hairdressers or places that are closed. So we're predominantly manufacturing. Mike, can you? What are the large manufacturers we got?
It's a lot of food manufacturing, automotive.
Carried on, didn't it?
Yeah.
Automotive.
Yeah.
So
And the reaction in those environments to using a fingerprint reader, what you know, did you spend?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a mix here. So we've got smaller companies who've said they didn't want to touch the fingerprint sensor anymore. They were quite happy to use the door handle to get through the front door, but they didn't want to touch a fingerprint sensor. So so we flipped people from fingers to proximity. So we supplied them with proximity fobs free of charge. Everybody, you can have them for free, because we know they're going to come back to fingerprint when this is over. So there's been some people who've done that. That was at the start, okay?
Yeah.
And then and some of those people are still using fingerprint. However, we have sold a decent number of BioLite N2s to people, and they're using them as fingerprint now. So as people are getting sick of listening to the scare stories, people are just getting back to normal. And that, I don't know if that's different in the UK than other countries, but we have had you know, the demand for the fingerprint biometric has it dropped a little at the start, but it's carried on as normal. Again, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a lot of the companies that we dealt with, for example, if they didn't want to use fingerprint, they just put a sanitizer station next to all the devices.
That's what we recommended for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think the other good feature to have was when obviously the biometrics, some companies just refused to use the biometrics. We had the proximity the RFID backup.
Yeah, without having to change the reader or do anything.
Yeah, so that was a benefit as well.
Can I just say, when we actually sell a system, let's just go back to the initial sale. If somebody wants a proximity solution, we don't sell them just purely we don't offer that. What we say to them is, you use the BioLite N2, just use the proximity side, because in the future you may want to use that. So we have sold systems in the past that were just prox, but we did that.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's great. I mean, that sort of mirrors our experience in the UK specifically. I know some of the guys on the call have had different experiences through it for one reason and another, but certainly the UK market from a security standpoint mirrors the workforce management side of things for sure. Just moving on from that, because we could talk about that all day, but you know, just finally, your point, I'd like to get your opinion on the workforce management market and where you see it going, whether there's any, you know, fundamental changes that you expect, or whether what you've got lined up, you know, that sort of lends itself then for you to, you know, just summarize for us what the future holds for timeware as well.
No problem. I think there is a small change. I mean, the government's trying to get people back to work now, back into the offices. I think some customers are wanting to. Sorry, some companies want the workforces to be fragmented and work from home and whatever. And I think that's going to lead to other tools being required, so that people can make holiday requests through portals rather than being in putting a request into an HR department in a building. So I think that might happen. In terms of manufacturing, factories, I think integrations with other systems, that's always important. The ability for one system to integrate with another, customization, integration, they're two of our USPs, and I think that they are major. I think the introduction of the air fob technology you introduced me to that a few months ago. That is something that I think is going to be a big interest to us. I think when as we move forward, I'm looking to introduce Suprema technology to a new marketplace, which is, if you can imagine, we're operating what I like to think of as at the top of this pyramid, and we're the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of businesses beneath us which are using that have been using more unreliable pieces of kit, and I want to introduce this sort of Mercedes S-Class type product, this top end product to these smaller companies. And as we move forward, then we have a cloud product that we're developing, which is going to launch in 25. Again, Suprema is a key part of that. and any new developments that you guys have got that you know, I'm sure you've got a few things up your sleeve, but 25 to 2028, we have this this vision taking us forward to 28, where we'll be completely cloud. All of our on-premise customers will have been migrated to the cloud, and Suprema will be a key part of that as we move forward.
And can I just pick up on that, because you know, you dropped me a mail a couple of weeks ago, and you know, I've been a bit remiss in answering you properly because I'm still trying to figure it out. But you guys are very much focused on trying to go almost wireless, if you like. So you're talking about eSIM and SIM enabled devices to allow you to. And is that specific to a market, or is that because that's just the way you see the deployments going?
We want customers to access the software from through a thin client from their desk to the cloud, and ideally, if the hardware that was the devices around the factory, the BioLite M3 or the M4, if that had eSIM capabilities, and we were just communicating directly with the device rather than having to have some data collection software that threw the information up to the cloud. That's what I was talking about. But I'm not a technical guy.
Yeah, and does that maybe Mike could answer that from a deployment point of view, because you guys do install as well. You know, a wireless solution, whether it be using a like a modem, like in the ceiling, or you use eSIM or whatever it is. Do you see more and more demand for that in applications, particularly in the type of manufacturing areas? You know, difficulty in wiring and things like that.
Let me jump in with that one. Yes, I mean, we've done a lot of installations using routers with a SIM 4G routers.
Public SIM card,
yeah, and it's just for ease of installation. That's all I was thinking. It just means we don't have to have anything. I like the idea that we just one company, that you provided us with something that worked, not that you provide us with something and we then got to source a SIM card and we've got to source a router and we've got, you know, I want to come to one source. We know it's reliable, it's going to work, 100% track record. That was what I was asking about.
No, it's interesting. I mean, you know, we have, like I've said to you in the past, we have our own sort of vision 25, if you like, for the next 4 or 5 years, and all of these things come up. It's good to get sort of feedback from yourselves that are out there, you know, fitting it to walls and in environments. So just to wrap that side of things up, and before I open things up to the rest of the guys, face recognition. Just talk to me about that. And you know, I know we've put our toe in the water with you guys on face recognition, but really we've not. You know, the Suprema UK, particularly the business as a whole, but face recognition in the UK has gone absolutely bananas. And you guys haven't seen the adoption. So just, you know, what's your take on that?
Okay, it's a difficult one to answer. We haven't pushed it because we didn't feel the need to push it. Mike, you've had a few people inquire, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think the main one for us is on some of the sites is they can get, obviously it's the price in regards to like an N2 compared to a F2. So for example, for the price of an N2, they can have 2 or 3 of them before they get to an F2. So I think that's some of it on our side. But then obviously we've not had people refusing to use the fingerprint biometrics, so it's kind of like we've got a solution, so we don't need to promote anything else.
I think it's almost like a state of mind. If somebody rings up and they are flapping and they think they need a face recognition and they need temperature monitoring and they need all these things, and you go along with it, you create a weird scenario. We've not done that. What we've said to people is, look, just use proximity, you know, and fingerprints will be back. And they're fine. You've got the equipment. Why buy another? Why replace what you've got? You know, what's the point of spending any more money? That's what we've not adopted a sales approach. We've adopted a, you know, what's best for the customer approach, I think.
but it is in your roadmap for full integration of F2. And
it is. We've done it. We've
done it.
completed it. It's absolutely finished. We've got a test site. It's working well. Cracking piece of kit. I mean, it's too good sometimes. It catches you when you don't want to clock in. It's super sensitive. It's really good. No, and if a customer did ask for it, of course we've got it and we have it on the website. We just have it. We've not avoided it. We just haven't had the demand. But I know that our partners have, the people that resell the product.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I think they're probably more sales orientated. You know, I think that's the difference.
So before I open this up and see if the guys have got any questions for you, which I'm sure they have, is there anything else from timeware that you want to say, or anything that regarding your product that you think is important for us to know about? Or
I just don't know if it's the unique thing, but we don't use Barstar 2, so obviously we've adopted the full integration into the timeware's application. So the customer, the reason for that is the customer only wants one front end software, so it's just timeware, and that's
full SDK integration, and that's really where you've seen the take up of adoption because of simplicity, right?
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's one.
No, I mean, it's there are so many things happening at the moment. As I said before, you're asking me to sort of sum up anything else that's happening. We're committed to Suprema. We're committed to a cloud development, and you know, we're committed to our customers with long-term business relationships. I must say that sentence so many times in the week. It's so important, and it's proved it during the last year where it hasn't been a major issue from the company. But no, you guys just keep inventing new products, and we can build them into our system.
Love it. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thanks, Simon. Mike. Guys, any questions that you want to put to Simon and Mike while we've got them?
I have one question over here. So regarding the timeware software, so I believe you have been pushed from your client during the last year to do some changes to adopt about the COVID-19 situation. So I would assume maybe that some of your customers wants to sign in, sign out from their home, use GPS, use the geofencing, you know, or giving some sort of flexibility for the people to do the attendance. They don't have to be present physically in front of the N2. Did you come across any of these requirements before?
Mike, I'll just ask you a question on this before I answer. Did we have anybody who, the people that have been working from home?
Yeah, so I think when obviously COVID hit in, was it March 19? I get the dates mixed up, but March 20, sorry. So basically we already have a solution called the Mobile Worker, which is a mobile app. So you can clock in via the mobile app. So what we did as a business is, I think Simon, from when COVID started, we offered the Mobile Worker free to all of our customers during the pandemic. So we saw a bit of an uptake in that.
Yeah. And typically that would be a licensed product, right?
Yes.
It is. It's called Mobile Worker, and it's going to turn into a product called ESS Go, which is a much larger part of our cloud solution.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, we've got basically a clocking in machine on your phone with a mobile app. That's the solution.
Right. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay. I have another question. So if you say the challenge for the facial recognition is mainly because of the price, how about the face light? Was the face light some of considered as an option for you to do facial recognition?
Yes, we did evaluate that. I think we've got a unit.
We did integrate it, so we have integrated it into the software.
Yes,
Simon, feel free to, this is an opportunity to tell us.
Yeah, it wasn't up to the same quality as the other equipment that you've got. The face light was, if it didn't have a Suprema label on it, I wouldn't have thought it was from Suprema. In my opinion,
Yeah,
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's why we love working.
I didn't see the point in that. The first station, the original one, was great. I believe there was a lot of fuss about the length of time it takes to enrol somebody. That to me is a tiny part of the life of the product. I don't understand what the fuss was about on that. Enrollment is a small and part that has to be accurate. So.
Yeah, I think the First Station F2 compared to the First Station 2, there's massive difference there, and the one that we've seen that the customers like the most is on the First Station 2, where you've got to get your head within the image, but with the F2 you can actually just be anywhere as long as the cameras pick you up. You can be anywhere with your face, and I think that's one of the better solutions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. I have another question. In terms of number of employees, what was the biggest project that you have implemented?
Oh, okay. Probably one of the meat processing plants where there would be probably 2,500 people at one site. But if you look at it collectively across all sites, Mike, how many are there?
So there's 13 Cranswick sites. So there's probably there's a lot of employees basically. Yeah. So there's probably around 20,000 employees using timeware on that from that one company.
Yes. Is it this?
And Mohammed, they have a mix of N2s, and they've just gone through a process on a couple of sites of putting F2s in. So they're a client of both from a time and attendance and access control point of view. So they use Genetec for their access control, which timeware also integrates with. So they use Suprema as the endpoint, Genetec for access control, timeware for their TNA. They've got a mix of N2s and F2s in their facilities now.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It's a great application to refer to, actually.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. It's good because at the start of that, it didn't work because we did it the wrong way, and it then turned into something that was really good and spread everywhere. And so it's a really good success story, that one, because of Suprema.
Brilliant.
Okay. Thank you guys for answering my questions.
Thanks, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions?
I have a
question.
That's why you go first.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I have a question. So I think timeware is also preparing the cloud solution, cloud-based service in the future. And what will be the business model of this cloud-based service? Maybe you are selling the hardware and software together, but if you provide the cloud-based service, maybe you can prepare some subscription model by monthly base or yearly base, or you just want to take the money from the end user or customer by one time, or what kind of business model you are thinking?
Okay, we've got this very clearly defined. If you take a customer that we have at the moment is used to an initial purchase price and then an ongoing support which we call managed service. So that customer will continue to pay the managed service directly to us on a yearly basis. However, there will also be an additional charge for running the software in the cloud, and we've set up a separate business which is called NMD Reach, and that will be where the customer will be charged on a monthly basis for that. So there'll be two charges: one for the managed service, keeping the system, the sort of day-to-day operation, and there'll be a separate charge from another company for the hosting of that software. And with our partners, their customers will be paying our partners for support, but we'll be paying our cloud company for hosting the software. And that's the model. And I think it's going to be a monthly or a quarterly charge, depending on the size of the company.
Okay, thank you. Then I think maybe end user or customer need to pay to your partner and to you, or you want to share the revenue or profit with partners. How can you manage the business model with the partners when you apply the subscription model?
Okay. We have a business relationship with our customers, and I think being charged by two companies won't be a problem for them. I have no issue with that. My partners, who sell a rebranded version, they trust us 100%. We've worked with them since the early 90s. So the way I've told them to describe this, and the way I've asked them to explain this is simply this: if you were looking to buy some software for your company and you needed a special piece of hardware to run that software, let's say a really powerful server, yeah, the person selling you the software wouldn't necessarily sell you the hardware. They would say to you, this is the software, but it needs this spec of server. Now, if it wasn't cloud-based, you would go and buy the server, or you would lease it, and it's the same principle. So the customer of our partners are simply going to be paying the support revenue to our partners, but they will be paying the rental of the cloud space, if you like, to the cloud company. And if if it was an on-premise solution, they would be renting the powerful server from a leasing company. They'd be leasing it. So to me, I've had a positive reaction from everybody I've spoken to about it, except for one person. So, is that okay, SY?
Yeah, thank you for your answer.
Thank you.
Stephen?
Yeah, I have just kind of a side note, was that when I first got into workforce management, I saw that the UK market was very much the access control system, and the time and attendance workforce management systems tended to be one and the same. They're very tightly coupled, if not the same. In the US, we seldom have the access control system and the workforce management system being the same. That's been the case for a long time. But one of the things that I always thought was that the UK system was very efficiently set up, because one system handled everything. But I think what's happening now is, in a sense, you're forced into doing what we've been doing here for a while, which is basically moving the employee functionality, the ability of the ESS capability down onto the device, making your system able to handle that. My question to you is, I'd always hoped that maybe the UK would be immune to the complexity of what's happening here, but it seems like you're having to respond to the very same things we are, which is basically enforcing compliance at the device, giving employees the ability to handle things that were typically handled through a manager, through HR, for example. Do you see this as a natural extension? Will you be taking the next step? The next step here has been manager self-service. Do you see timeware getting into increasingly more capable and more exhaustive capability at the end user device?
To a certain point, yes, I think so. I do. I think if you're referring to sort of people using maybe a mobile phone for making requests, yes. But what you at the start of that point, Stephen, you mentioned, I sort of disagree a little bit with that. In this country, the access control and the attendance have always been, in my opinion, have been separate. It's just that the access control people believe they have an attendance solution when they haven't. What they've got is a report that's now the use
shows ins and outs.
Yeah, that I would say. And so you have a lot of access control people who pretend they've got an attendance solution, but they haven't. And I think as we move forward, you know, they become one and the same. And I do think that I think you're going to see more. What you described is going to become more apparent in this country. Definitely.
Thanks,
can I? Yeah, if I can just add to that, from my experience, obviously, from access control and what we've done with the timeware guys, I think what Cranswick, the project that we talked about just a moment ago, is a really good example of where historically a company like that would be trying to use an access control system to generate a time and attendance solution, report, whatever it might be, to make payroll payments and things like that. what we've managed to do, what we're seeing more and more of, this integrate. There's a lot of integration between access control and CCTV, and there has been for maybe 5-6 years. What's happened in the last 2 years, I would say, probably even last 12-18 months, is the demand for integration between access control systems and workforce management is almost creating a solution in itself. So there is more of a reality that the access control system has TNA capabilities, but it's basic. If you want enterprise security and you want enterprise time and attendance, you need to use two different systems. The beauty of that with someone like timeware is we can be the endpoint for both things.
Yes.
Whether it be at an enterprise level or it be at a lower mid-market level, the endpoint is a Suprema device. What's operating it, whether it be BioStar or Paxton or Cantech or Genetech, is from an access point of view is one thing, but the fact that that customer can use the same device with an enterprise end TNA solution, workforce management solution, means we've got quite a powerful offering. And that's where I think we've got a lot of success, right, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're getting more and more requests now where people have access control equipment and they want us to work with them. They might not necessarily have Suprema at this stage, but I think there's a market for Suprema. Forget it. If you can get yourselves in front, the front ending as many access control systems as possible, then it means that when we come along, maybe 2 years later, the customer's already got Suprema connected to Paxton or another system, and then we're taking the data directly out of that system, which we know has come from your data, your device, and we're getting that more and more now, more and more, and it's great. It's you need to get yourselves in more places, don't you? Suprema needs to be.
I think the beauty of that we've started to see, we're 4 years into this, I guess, Simon, and recently we've seen a lot of sharing of lead opportunities. You've been in talking about workforce management and come out and said, well, look, they're looking for access control or vice versa. And I think that's where the partnership has evolved, where you may not have had it from previous partners or where, that's just my perception of it.
No, it's good. It's very good.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So we're coming up to an hour, I think. So I just want to check. Is anyone, Eugene, do you have any questions at all? Or?
Yeah, let me ask a question. I appreciate Simon and Mike and handling this customer success story sessions, and really appreciate it. Let me ask you questions regarding pretty much baseline questions, especially for this case success story. What will be the when you go to the new customers and positioning timeware and Suprema, what is your positioning? Why timeware? Why Suprema? And I think you mentioned a lot of times during the session, but can you recall that, pretty much is about the success factors of the timeware and Suprema?
Okay, so the question is, let me understand that. If we're going into a new customer, why would that customer be interested in timeware?
When you present why, what would be the value proposition, that why timeware and why Suprema?
Okay, and customers always do research. Okay, so we go in with Suprema. I know that they're going to search for Suprema on the internet when we leave. Okay, and Suprema is a very high quality product, and so they will not see it on eBay, for $100. So that's good. All right. With us, with our track record of workforce management solutions, we can give them usually a reference site within their industry. So if they're a bakery, we've got 10 bakeries we've dealt with. If it's an engineering company, we will have a similar size company that we can refer to, maybe somebody that they can go and visit. So I think the combination of I will say this, an expensive piece of hardware and an expensive piece of software works really well together. They're really well matched. Maybe expensive is the wrong word. Can I rephrase that? they are well priced. You know, they are quality, the quality products. And you know, I think we all know who I'm thinking of. And the cheaper other equipment that's on the market is not good enough for the market we sell to. So we need a quality product, and Suprema is that product. I don't know if I've answered that question. It's a difficult one to answer. Is that okay? Do you want me to be more specific, or sorry, Eugene?
No, that's good. Thank you very much, Simon.
It's quality. It's all about the quality.
We love it. It's all about Mercedes. That's right, isn't it?
But it's S-Class. That's the thing. You know, wherever you pitch it, it's got to be there. You know, you set your sights there. That's no good. You know, we need support. We need support revenue coming in. That is a £10,000 support contract from a customer, not a £150 support contract. You know, you can't run it. You can't grow a business on small little support contracts. You know, and on where we're operating now, you need those large support contracts. And the only reason you get those is when people trust you, and they trust you because of the service and the product. And Suprema is an essential part of that product.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
It's a good approach.
Yeah, that's great. Is that okay, Eugene? Any other questions at all?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, I think if there aren't any other questions, Simon, I'm out of questions for the time being. I just want to say a big thank you for your time and Mike's time. I'm looking forward to being able to meet face to face for something to eat and a drink and celebrate 4 years of partnership coming up in the second half of this year. I think it's been a great journey so far, and I think we've really just scratched the surface. We class, we've got 4 or 5 of your partners that we deal with now, and they are classed as the timeware family, and business is going from strength to strength. So, genuinely, we really appreciate that and appreciate all of the work you guys do, tech support do, and Nathan in particular. Real sort of hats off to him for the development work that he does, because we don't see any tech support issues. We literally, as a business, as a partner, you create the minimal amount of tech support requirements, and you continue to grow year in, year out. So, thank you from me and the team, basically.
Thank you. Thank you very
No
much,
worries.
guys. Really enjoy working with you guys. It is good fun. It's good. So no, thank you. Keep up the products.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.
Bye-bye.